Hi, dear friends. Today I'm going to discuss Angela McRobbie's postmodernism and popular culture. And before that, let me tell you one thing. This video is solely based on my own understanding and my own reading. So if you find any contradictory viewpoints, just share with me as a comment. Let me have an introduction to Angela McRobbie. Angela McRobbie is a British cultural theorist, feminist, and commentator. Her work combines the study of popular culture, contemporary media practice, feminism, and her current research is on fashion industry. She was influenced by the works of Stuart Hall and the British sociologist of the School of Birmingham. And her famous work is The Aftermath of Feminism, Gender Culture and Social Change. Her recent book is Be Creative, Making a Living in the New Cultural Industries. She critiqued the influential work of Dick Hebdige's subculture, The Meaning of Style, for its absence of female subcultures. Let's discuss postmodernism and popular culture. And at first, she made a speech on the topic in 1984, and later, this article first appeared in Postmodernism 1986. And thereafter, it was published as a book by Routledge in 1994. Postmodernism and popular culture engages with postmodernity as a space for social change and political transformation. The cultural critics shifted the gaze away from the search for meaning in the text towards the sociological play between images and between different cultural forms and institutions. And for them, everyday life is an interplay of different cultures and identities. And they surveyed the invigorating landscape of today's youth and popular culture. And she says that cultural studies as an undisciplined discipline. In her essay, she assessed the contribution of key figures in cultural and post-imperial theory. The first one is Jean Baudrillard, Umberto Eco, Dick Hebdige, Andrea Hewson, Frederick Jameson, and Susan Sontag. And there are two sections in her essay. The first one is the Soweto Dash, and the next is Implosion. In the first section, she discusses the significance of postmodernism. Postmodernism possesses both positive attraction and usefulness to the analysis of popular culture. And she pointed out the power of mass media and popular culture in the mid-20th and 21st century. According to Mulvey, the most important and powerful institutions which control and shape all other institutions are mass media and popular culture. Postmodernism replaced the attention away from the singular gaze of the semiologist to a multiplicity of fragmented and frequently interrupted looks, and they challenged the modernism's relentless hostility to mass culture, because postmodernism first took its shape in pop culture, and pop culture cannot be signified within one discrete discourse. It combines images with performance, music with films, videos, or pin-ups. Postmodernism challenged the narrowness of structuralist vision by questioning every aspect of lived experience by media imagery. It entered into diverse number of vocabularies than other intellectual categories, and it has spread outward from art, history, political theory, and to the pages of youth cultural magazine, record sleeves, and the fashion spreads of Vogue. McRobbie adds, postmodernism appeared in UK like a breath of fresh air. It captured a multitude of experiences, particularly what Baudrillard has called the instantaneity of communication, which means an individual in postmodern world influenced by media technology, experiences, and hyperreal. The second part of the essay, she discusses the influence of mass media. Mass media and popular culture have taken powerful roles in the 20th and 21st century because they are powerful institutions which control and shape all other institutions. And she argued that the influence of politics on mass media is not wholly negative because it provided a representation of the third world. And the exploitation of images by mass media, hijacking events, and agenda setting are the negative sides of mass media and society today. She says it's very difficult to talk about media and society today because it creates greater difficulties in assessing the relationship between popular cultural forms and the consumers. Against the backdrop of severe economic decline, the mass media continued to capture new outlets, and it created fresh markets to absorb the high-tech commodities, and the media image has assumed a contemporary dominance over everything. It is difficult to draw a distinction between image and reality, media and society, because each pair has become deeply intertwined, so it is difficult to draw a distinction between media and society today. Next point is self-referentiality in media. Self-reference is a much discussed characteristic of postmodernity. It's an era in which everything is said to be grand narrative have lost the credibility. Umberto Eco, the Italian critic, made a distinction between Paleo TV, which means the older television, and Neo TV. The Paleo TV talked about the external world, whereas Neo TV talks less and less about the external world. It talks about itself and the contact it established with its own public. And self-referentiality occurs within and across different media forms. One TV program might be devoted to the production of another, and TV films based on the making of other large-scale cinema productions are becoming increasingly common. The print media and television stories depend each other for material and content, and one set of textual practice has become the reference point for another. Next is media interdependency. It is both an economic and a cultural imperative. And McRobbie gives an example. Children's TV on Saturday and Sunday offer an exclusive showcase for new promo videos of pop music industry. And this shows a feeding of effect, which means a support from each other between mass media today. And this endless cross-referencing are extensive. It creates an ever-increasing but less diverse verbal and visual landscape. And these recurring fictions and characters constitute a large part of popular culture. And texts have always alluded or connected with others. She gives the example of Simone de Beauvoir's Memoirs of a Dutiful Daughter, where she included many pages to all the books she read during her childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. This process is less restricted to literature. It's more apparent in the commercial mass media. It means a form of cozy, mutual, congratulatory cross-referencing and repetition. And Baudrillard greets these recent changes with some cynicism. He claims that more media offers less meaning. According to Umberto Eco, our TV evening no longer tell us stories. It's all trailer. And she claims that media images push their way into the fabric of our social lives. They enter into how we look and what we earn. The media images compete for attention through shock, tactics, sex, mystery, and by inviting viewers to participate in a series of visual puzzles. Next point is media and classroom. The educational incorporation is a part of the widening out process of mass media. To her, people's usage and experiences of the mass media increases not just because there is more of it, but it appears unexpectedly in different places, and it is rather more optimistic reading of mass media. The new technologies now occupy a place within these institutions. It provides a basis for the production of new meanings, new expression. There is a myth that radical or challenging media forms come from the street. And McRobbie says, in fact, it is in the media workshops, in the creative writing classes, and the college studios that such work emerges. And the history of pop music grew out of the expansion of art schools in 1960. And she added that these new forms of pop culture are not necessary to be high standard. And McRobbie mentioned the essay of Susan Sontag's Notes on Camp, and the essay offered an interesting perspective on those forms of popular culture. And this was a reflective of camp. Camp disrupt many of the notions of what art is and what can be classified as high art. Camp practice includes film, cabaret, pantomime, etc. And Sontag stressed the importance of knowing the audience, and that is young people's engagement with culture. The notion of camp and the knowing audience can be extended to Jameson's use of pastiche. In both pop music and in the popular soap operas, pastiche is a dominant motif. Frederick Jameson, in his essay Postmodernism and Consumer Society, eroded the older distinction between high culture, mass culture, or popular culture. And McRobbie argues that Jameson's focus on art rather than popular culture, and little concern has been shown to audience and consumers. On the other hand, Sontag linked pastiche with its favored audience, that is, gay men, because it showed how a social minority making a bid for a cultural form to show their fragmented and sexually deviant identity. The result was the absorption of camp style into the mainstream of popular taste. As a result, male gay culture became explicit and outspoken, having aesthetic and political discourse has in the last few years had a remarkable impact. In pop music, many musicians utilized many of the pastiche elements to celebrate their homosexuality. And the advantage of Sontag is that she brings the audience, the consumers, the camp followers into the picture without sidetracking into empiricism. And all this comes close to what Baudrillard and Crilley called implosion. It's a vague but appropriate term. And Baudrillard, Eco, and Jameson all see this as a totalizing and all-immersing process. But none of them considers new associations and resistance. And McRobbie quotes Huizan, in art, writing, filmmaking, and criticism of women and minority artists come up to refuse high modernism and to the emergence of alternative forms of culture. And that is what's happening in this postmodern era. Pop culture challenged the mainstream arts and youth involved in the creation of their own avant-garde. Black urban cultural music gained its identity. The Black movement, Tony Bampra's jazz became the rhythm of the city. Alongside these largely male forms must be replaced the writings of Black women, and thus postmodernism can be considered as the beginning of new nihilism. In the postmodern world, audience, viewers, lookers, users are not simple-minded multitudes. And why postmodernism appeals to a wider number of young people is that the new generation of intellectuals, often black, female, or working class, they themselves are experiencing the enforced fragmentation of impermanent work and low career opportunities. But now the situation has changed. Postmodernism helped the social groups and minorities to raise their voice and work for them. And here ends our today's video. As I told you earlier, this class is completely based on my own understanding of the essay. And if you have any genuine critical comments, please share with me. Thank you.